Can a nation be saved from all its wrongs by a single leader? Burkina Faso has undoubtedly changed since Captain Ibrahim Traore took office, especially in the fight against insurgency. He has no fear of dying. In addition, he mentioned 3 terms that we Africans ought to avoid using in our speech. And these are ineptitude, treachery, and cowardice. We will discuss the 3 words he suggested we get rid of. Traore has led Burkina Faso toward wealth by accomplishing seemingly impossible feats. Still, how did Traore manage to pull this off? What was his success roadmap? Let's investigate. With a strong sense of spirit and a proud past, Burkina Faso is fighting back against insurgencies despite all the odds. The nation is fighting valiantly for its survival as well as its sovereignty and dignity under Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership. A profound shift is taking place in the world, challenging preconceived notions about Africa and redefining what is achievable in the face of hardship. Burkina Faso encountered a serious security situation in 2022. A significant portion of the country was under the hands of insurgent organizations, putting the nation in danger of imploding. The September 207 vehicle convoy ambush, which claimed a large number of lives, brought attention to the gravity of the threat and the shortcomings of the government's reaction. However, Captain Ibrahim Traore emerged as a new leader in the midst of this chaos. Traore has set out on a mission to free his country from fanaticism with a decisive coup and a series of calculated military maneuvers. Burkina Faso has undergone changes since Traore took office. Currently, his second round is even bringing peace to Burkina Faso. It's crucial to comprehend how he accomplished the impossibility, though. But first, it's crucial to understand how Burkina Faso got to that precipice. The disintegration of Burkina Faso was not an overnight event. The country had struggled with instability for years, which was made worse by its location at the intersection of many Sahelian conflict zones. Insurgent organizations emerged in the region due to a confluence of events, including political unrest, economic hardship, and the aftermath of neighboring conflicts. Extremist organizations, such as members of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, saw a chance to take advantage of Burkina Faso's weaknesses. After Libya fell in 2011, Islamist groups in the Sahel received an influx of weapons that allowed them to extend their operations. These organizations took advantage of local issues in Burkina Faso, such as unemployment, poverty, and political marginalization. They took over border regions, enlisted young people who had lost their rights, and started enforcing their harsh regulations. They took over entire towns and villages, and local government systems broke down. An important turning point occurred on September 26, 2022, during the ambush. A caravan making its way from Ouagadougou to Djibo, targeted by militants affiliated with Al-Qaeda, totaling 207 automobiles. The attack, which left 70 people missing and 37 dead, shocked the public and demonstrated how deeply the militants had taken hold of the country. Under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba, the government was completely unprepared. There was a great deal of public ire and disillusionment as a result of its perceived delayed and ineffective response. People protested in the streets, calling on their authorities to act more decisively. The army, which was underfunded and demoralized, found it difficult to keep the peace. Fear and resentment surged across the nation as public confidence in the administration collapsed. Burkina Faso's citizens felt powerless against the growing threat of insurgencies and abandoned by their authorities. In this desperate and unpredictable situation, Captain Ibrahim Traore showed himself to be a capable leader. He led a group of like-minded military officers in a coup on September 30, 2022. In contrast to earlier coups in Burkina Faso's history, This one was motivated by a sincere desire to re-establish security and stability rather than by self-interest or outside pressure. Traore moved quickly and calculatedly. With little opposition, his forces seized control of military installations, state television, and other government buildings. It was an obvious message. A new age had begun, one in which the security and safety of the Burkinabe people would come first. Now that Traore was in charge, it was crucial to determine how his leadership would be different from that of his predecessors. Add your voice to the total liberation of Africa by leaving a comment in the comments section below. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos like this one. Let's proceed. Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership is distinguished by a special combination of strategic vision, pragmatism, and unshakable dedication to the security of his nation. Unlike his forebears, Traore recognized that combating the complex threat posed by insurgencies required an all-encompassing strategy. He set out to restore the military's capability, raise morale, and promote a feeling of oneness among the country. As soon as he took office, Traore carried out an exhaustive evaluation of the military's advantages and disadvantages. He saw right away that more advanced gear, improved instruction, and more inter-branch coordination were necessary for the armed forces. Traore gave the purchase of contemporary weapons and enhanced logistical support first priority because he understood that a demoralized force could not defeat well-armed insurgents. This involved improving supply routes, bolstering communication networks, and making sure that soldiers on the front lines had the necessary gear and morale. Traore's dedication to open and honest communication was among his most noteworthy deeds. Traore made it a point to address the country regularly and candidly, in contrast to other leaders who frequently worked behind closed doors. Rather than avoiding the topic of previous leadership's shortcomings, he turned them into a driving force for improvement. The Burkinabe people responded favorably to his direct style, who yearned for integrity and bold action. Traore presented the struggle against insurgencies as a community endeavor that needed the involvement and support of all citizens, rather than just a military campaign. Traore's early acts demonstrated his commitment to this goal. He took the initiative, frequently visiting soldiers on the front lines and interacting firsthand with the local populations impacted by acts of terrorism. This practical method promoted unity and trust both within the armed forces and with civilians. He was more than just a leader in name only. He was a leader who took part in the dangers and tribulations that his people encountered. An excellent illustration of Traore's leadership was the effort to lift the Djibo terrorist blockade. There was more to this operation than just sending in troops. It was a carefully thought-out operation that blended military realism with altruistic endeavors. Traore realized that he had to win people over with their hearts and minds in order to prevail in this battle. After months of siege, the operation succeeded in bringing much-needed supplies to the city, yielding a tactical win and a significant boost to national morale. With the public's backing growing and his domestic methods cemented, Traore focused on forming international partnerships. However, how did these international alliances influence Burkina Faso's new course? And how did they contribute to the nation's efforts to quell insurgencies? Captain Traore looked beyond conventional friends after realizing Burkina Faso needed outside assistance to reinforce its defenses. Western countries provided little help because they were reluctant and were hampered by bureaucratic regulations. Realizing how urgent the situation was, Traore looked to new allies, chief among them China. China's engagement in Burkina Faso's counterinsurgency efforts represented a dramatic change in the Sahelian region's geopolitical environment. China offered an uncomplicated collaboration that was concentrated on pressing needs, in contrast to Western countries that frequently tied help to stringent restrictions. China promised to provide Burkina Faso with repeated shipments of military supplies and advanced weapons within weeks after Traore's ascent to power. This prompt action showed China's readiness to assist an independent, stable African state as well as the seriousness of the situation. China's assistance had an immediate and significant effect. Modern weapons, machine guns, and a sizable ammunition stockpile were among the latest imports. Burkina Faso soldiers were equipped with enough weapons to confront rebels on an even playing field for the first time. The military's operational capabilities were enhanced by this inflow of weaponry, but it also had a profound psychological effect on both the populace and the soldiers. Burkina Faso soldiers were able to combat the enemy more successfully thanks to their upgraded arsenal, which resulted in a string of wins that raised morale across the country. Beyond only providing material assistance, China's engagement signaled a larger change in direction toward a more multipolar strategy in international relations with Africa. Traore sent a strong message when he chose to work with China. Burkina Faso was prepared to pave its own course independent of the sway of any one superpower. The continent was shaken by this decision, while other African countries attentively observed, reevaluating their foreign policies in light of Burkina Faso's audacious move. Burkina Faso's military policy was able to incorporate more technology breakthroughs due to the collaboration with China. Traore's government was able to invest in cutting-edge drone capabilities and surveillance systems thanks to Chinese backing. Drones manufactured in Turkey, the Bayraktar TB2 and Akanji models, improved Burkina Faso's capacity to carry out targeted attacks and obtain crucial intelligence, changing the scales of the war against insurgencies. Once international backing was established and the armed forces were revitalized, Traore's government had to continue to gain ground and convert early wins into long-term security. So what was his strategy to guarantee that the benefits would not be lost? In addition to focusing on short-term military victories, Captain Traore's novel approach to counterinsurgencies aimed to create a long-term plan that could maintain those victories and provide the groundwork for enduring peace. Using cutting-edge technology into military operations was one of his administration's main policies. Drones, namely the Turkish-made Akanji and Bayraktar TB2 variants, completely changed Burkina Faso's strategy for conducting modern warfare. Before previously unthinkable, these drones provide a level of surveillance and strike capacity. They made it possible for the military to keep an eye on large swaths of land, track the activities of rebel groups, and launch accurate strikes on valuable targets with little chance of endangering the lives of civilians. The military was able to carry out more successful operations with fewer resources thanks to the drones, which multiplied their power. Traore did not, however, only use drones as a tool. Additionally, he made investments in upgraded communication systems that facilitated better coordination between the many military services. As a result, operations could be coordinated better and dangers could be addressed more quickly. Furthermore, the administration established new guidelines for exchanging intelligence with friends in the region, encouraging further collaboration in the battle against transnational insurgencies. Traore's strategy was further enhanced by his emphasis on community engagement and restoring confidence between the people in the community and the government. He saw that using only military might would not be sufficient to defeat insurgencies. It necessitated tackling the underlying causes of extremism, such as deprivation of political rights, poverty, and illiteracy. The Traore administration introduced a number of measures such as infrastructure projects, educational initiatives, and local governance changes to promote economic development in areas most impacted by insurgencies. Use of psychological operations to weaken the power of the insurgents was one of Traore's most inventive strategies. Recognizing that insurgencies involve more intellectual warfare than physical combat, Traore's government implemented advanced communication operations to refute extremist claims. These campaigns presented a picture of a peaceful and prosperous Burkina Faso that could only be attained through cooperation and unity, emphasized the achievements of the government, and revealed the savagery of rebel tactics. Traore also aimed to raise the Burkinabe military level of professionalism. He created new training programs with an emphasis on urban combat, guerrilla warfare, and counterinsurgency techniques because he realized that successful counterinsurgency operations required highly trained men. The emphasis of these programs was on resilience and adaptability, educating soldiers for the special difficulties that extremist organizations in the Sahel provide. As these tactics gained traction, the difficulty shifted from merely keeping up the momentum to making sure that recovered areas were safe, and that extremist organizations were difficult for them to rebuild. In what ways was Traore going to secure and stabilize these areas in the long run? Beyond short-term military triumphs, Captain Traore envisions a safe and stable Burkina Faso. His administration has unveiled a multifaceted plan to guarantee that the nation can lay the groundwork for long-term prosperity and that the gains won in the war are not lost, realizing that a durable peace necessitates an all-encompassing approach. The reintegration of former fighters who have demonstrated a willingness to give up violence is essential to this method. The administration of Traore has started initiatives to help these people get well, providing them with chances to reintegrate into society via education, community service, and vocational training. By using this strategy, the number of possible recruits for insurgent groups is decreased, and some of the socio-economic issues that initially encouraged extremism are also addressed. The administration has also made the restoration of basic amenities in regions freed from rebel control a top priority. Basic infrastructure, including roads, schools, and medical facilities, had either been completely destroyed or gravely neglected in many of these areas. By making these investments, Traore hopes to win back the trust of the community by proving that the government cares about their welfare and is able to give them the security and resources they require to prosper. Additionally, the administration of Traore is collaborating closely with regional allies to strengthen border security and stop the flow of weapons and rebels across borders. This entails concerted measures to destroy the smuggling networks that have long been the source of the conflict, as well as cooperative military actions with nearby nations and intelligence sharing. The objective is to establish a regional security framework that can better address threats and guarantee that extremist groups in the Sahel have nowhere to hide. Apart from these endeavors, the government is assiduously attempting to broaden its global alliances in order to guarantee continuous backing for its security and development programs. Although the alliance with China has been crucial in delivering quick military support, Traore understands that Burkina Faso needs a large coalition of allies to deal with its complex problems. This entails requesting assistance in fields like economic growth, humanitarian relief, and peacekeeping from other African countries as well as the African Union and foreign organizations. The Traore government understands how critical it is to keep the people in favor of its initiatives. In order to do this, the government has spent money on public relations programs that aim to enlighten the public about its accomplishments and promote a feeling of pride and unity among all citizens. A larger plan to preserve morale and public confidence includes regular updates on military operations, the accomplishments in regaining territory, and the ongoing efforts to reconstruct and deliver services. In order to guarantee that justice is served promptly and fairly, the administration has also taken action to improve the legal and law enforcement institutions. This entails creating specialized tribunals to hear matters pertaining to insurgencies and making sure that individuals who carry out violent crimes are held responsible. Traore hopes to further undermine the extremist narrative that the state is corrupt or weak by demonstrating that Burkina Faso is a nation where justice is upheld. Additionally, Traore has concentrated on fostering community resilience. He has pushed for the creation of military-backed local defense organizations to bolster security in isolated and rural areas. These volunteer-run organizations support the armed forces in defending their areas against attacks and infiltration by insurgents. This community-based strategy increases local security while also encouraging a sense of accountability and ownership among the populace. Therefore, Burkina Faso's military campaign against insurgency is not the only one being carried out under Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership. It is an extensive, multidimensional endeavor to bring wealth, stability, and peace back to a country that has been under assault for a very long time. Traore has steered his nation into a new direction that puts both immediate security requirements and strategic foreign connections first, all thanks to this bold leadership and creative thinking, and long-range planning objectives. Though there is still much to be done, the advancements made thus far offer optimism for Burkina Faso and all of Africa. It is a potent reminder that African countries possess the resiliency, creativity, and willpower to conquer even the most formidable obstacles when confronted with hardship. Not only is Burkina Faso's story one of suffering, but it is also one of triumph and a symbol of the people's unwavering spirit. Along the way, Captain Ibrahim Traore and his administration are not only freeing their country from extremist hold, but they are also reinventing what it means to be an African nation resilient in the face of hardship. Do you believe that more countries could take a cue from Burkina Faso? Did Traore fulfill his promise? Tell us what you think in the comments section below.